we actually have an Aussie with us today. Gabby Semkova, she is the founder of Summerside Towels. And I remember, I'll let her introduce herself and actually I'm going to, spoiler alert. I don't remember how Gabby and I got connected, but we worked together behind the scenes on our launch, just with strategy and stuff like that. And I remember when that first phone call with her, she was like, yeah, I'm launching a beach towel or a travel towel. I'm like, okay. She's like, but it's made from recycled plastic bottles. And before I did any research on the industry, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a life changer. I haven't heard of any fabrics being able to be made from recycled plastic bottles. And it turns out that it's a fairly new technology that she's been able to use to take really plastics out of the ocean and being able to upcycle that into something beautiful that people love. And just recently finished a Kickstarter campaign with just about 350 backers. It's awesome. And so I'd love can you just introduce yourself and how you got the idea for the product and what gave you the how did you know that you had to pursue this as a part-time thing to bring this product to market?
Yeah, sure. So, hi everyone. Yeah, I'm from Australia. I don't know if you could hear me before as well, but now you can see me. So, yeah, I'm the founder of Summerside, which are lifestyle towels, so beach, travel, and they're made from recycled plastic bottles. So, the way I came up with that idea is I lived in Bali for a year and a half. And if you've been to Bali or any third world country, you sort of know there's a lot of plastic pollution. And I mean, it's just everywhere. They are huge fans of single use plastic. And at the same time, I started surfing, and if you get hit by certain things about 100 meters out, it's crazy. So I had a nappy hit me. I had a couple of plastic bottles swimming in the water, some plastic bags caught on my foot. So it was, I guess the plastic problem was really prevalent there, whereas I'm not saying that it's not prevalent in Australia, but we just have nice bins that we put it in, but doesn't really go anywhere now that China is no longer taking our plastic. So plastic is a huge problem. And I guess I was also working in the travel industry and I was always on the go as well. So I always used cotton towels or microfiber towels, and they always just found them really annoying. So microfiber was too small and it was quite boring. And then the cotton towels are always just such an inconvenience if you left it in the car the whole day, especially if they were wet. So yeah, it sort of grew from being a pain point, but then also I wanted to find some sort of solution to the problem. And then sort of began my research into how can I make something that's usually manufactured plastic, so it's just more plastic, into something that could help the situation. So I started looking for sustainable materials that might be used instead of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess, yeah, in the end, after a lot of research, I found that plastic bottles can be made into polyester, which is majority of what a microfiber towel is made from. And then the difficulty was, I guess, finding a manufacturer that could do it, because I tried in Australia and I was unsuccessful. They don't have the facilities here. And in Indonesia, they also couldn't do it. So, and I know they have Reprieve in America, but again, it's sort of everything has to be spun separately. So even though you can make a shirt from plastic bottles, it doesn't mean that you can make a towel. So yeah, and then in the end, I found my manufacturer in China and worked back and forth. So what turned into just being a simple idea, just because I hated the small, boring ones. I wanted a large, beautiful one. Turned into, a little bit more. So they're quick dry and compact and sand free and odor resistant. So I added a lot of technology in there as well.
And so just to repeat the question, before you weren't on screen. Now you're on screen. The manufacturer you partnered with, did they have this technology already available for you to use for towels, or did they have to design that custom for you?
I did have to work with my own blend because, I would have liked to do 100%. So mine are 85% recycled plastic
Mm-hmm.
bottles. But I found that the the feel of it wasn't, and the technology just wasn't the same.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to have done 100%, but it just didn't work with the technology. And when you print onto 100% polyester, you can burn it as well. So it would have made it a lot difficult to make it actually uniquely designed. So yeah, and then I wanted an 85-15 blend. So I sort of went back and forth. So they did have
Mm-hmm.
to do a custom one for me because they usually do, like 80-20, or I was just very particular in how
Mm-hmm.
I wanted it. So yeah, I worked back and forth with them and sort of came up with the blend that I wanted that worked, that functioned. So I had a few testers, and I was in a great place to test it. I mean, I was living in
Yeah.
Bali, so surfing and traveling, it was, the best way to test it.
Yeah. And so moving into your designing the product, I think right when we got connected, you had just ordered your first 300, like a beta run that you did before a Kickstarter campaign. I find that that's not common practice, which it should be for a lot of creators to do a early run of something just to work out the kinks, do some testing. Um, can you walk me through? Hey, I guess, are you happy that you ordered 300 in advance of your campaign? And like, what
Oh,
were you able to do
100%.
with that? Like,
No, I'm so glad I ordered it because there were a few kinks that I wasn't happy with. Like the first um for the first 300, like the pocket, actually no, sorry. They sent me 20 first of that 300 via air
mm-hmm,
before sea freighting it. Had too small a pocket. So the dimensions they did were just wrong. So it was just a bit of miscommunication. So the pocket wouldn't have fit an extra large phone like the 7 Plus. So, you know, uh, if that happened once, you have to send them all out quite quickly for the Kickstarter backers, and I was really determined to make sure I deliver for Christmas. I was really specific on my timeline. I ended up delivering early, which was good, but I couldn't have. I needed to test it. Like I needed to know the products. Like it's so hard, but I mean, I guess it's different. If you were doing something technology wise, you would need so much capital that you wouldn't be able
it's
to
just not
really get a
feasible.
prototype.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, but in
yeah.
my case, I could, invest my money into like a prototype and testing it. And I had other people test it, like the guys that I did the shoot with. So the director, the models, like they all took one, a couple of my friends, surfers, travelers. So I did get a lot of feedback and could rework it as well.
Mm-hmm.
But look, the first run was great. So it was only just the pocket. But I did have to fix a few things before the big shipment sort of came in via air. So we did like a lot of sampling of that
Mm-hmm.
300. So they would, I would pay to get it sent over to me in Bali and then test like a small amount and then go back and they would have to fix it. So it was the manufacturers are really good because that can be really difficult sometimes.
But I think a big mistake I see a lot of people making in the manufacturing process in that first product is they don't want to be they don't want to micromanage China. They don't want to be rude.
Yeah.
They want to leave the professionals to do their job. But if you didn't micromanage, you've probably heard horror stories of what happens, like products
Oh, yeah.
ship dusty. They're not what you asked for. It's the wrong color. The print is skewed. Like there's just all these things that I think, man, it's great that you're demanding, as you say, because you're going to have a good product that gets to your customer. So a lot of people miss that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you do have to be like you're the only one that knows exactly the product that you have in your head. So it's really important to make sure that they get it right because it's so long the process to go back and have to redo it. And I hear horror stories on Kickstarter and Indiegogo about, they don't receive what they ordered because it just wasn't manufactured that way. And look, a lot of those products, as you know, Khierstyn, their first time to hit the market. Like, there's nothing like it. So more likely than not, the manufacturer has never done that before, or they've done something similar but not exactly. So you have to be really onto them about it and know what you want, and be really specific.
Yeah, when it comes down to it, you deliver an amazing product, you are going to have a successful company long term because it will grow from the inside, from your customers really loving your product.
Yeah, exactly. And I've had some really good feedback from all those backers that have received. So pretty much all of them have been delivered. So I did send out about 700 towels. I packed them all
Great.
myself, and I wrote a note for every single one of my backers. So I thought my hand might fall off, but it was good. But a lot of people appreciated it. So obviously, if you had thousands of backers, it's just not plausible. But in my
No, yeah.
case, in my case, it ended up being 367 because a few other people sort of jumped on at the end. So it was great, and I've only received good feedback, and everyone's been, I guess, more impressed than what they were getting. So that's good.
Which is great. Now that your campaign is over, like, I guess, first off, are you looking to do a 3PL, or do you want to keep that like custom, custom touch where you are shipping stuff out of your own house while the volume is manageable? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so whilst the volume is manageable, I felt like at some point I was swimming in towels. Like, I might as well not even have had furniture. I could have just like set it up as its own couch. But at the moment, it is relatively manageable. But at some point, I had like 1,400 towels here. I did send out quite a lot of them though. But yeah, at the moment, I would like to oversee everything. I'm just one of those people that I don't know. I know that I put my personal touch on it, and I like things, packed neatly. And I just like things a certain way. So at the moment, whilst I can manage it, I will. If I'm sending out, if I have like thousands and thousands of towels, like, there's just no way that I can have it in my house. So I'm already swimming in it as it is. But at some stage, I will look into a warehouse for sure.
Yeah. So what would you say? I guess two questions. The first one, why did you do Kickstarter versus just launching on your own website?
So because this fabric is pretty new, the minimum order was quite high, and also I wouldn't have been able to order my stock without like a Kickstarter. That's what I had the 20 grand goal for. The 20 grand was, once you take out, all the costs associated with it, I would have been left with enough to order the minimum. So that was really the main reason, because I had to order so many towels. And I think it's a good base as well, and you can reach a lot of people across different countries. So I'm sure my friends and family would have bought, but it also adds some credibility. So I raised 37.5 grand on Kickstarter. Like, that is a good amount, and I had so many backers. So when you do PR, or you're going into stores and they hear of the success, like, it adds credibility. So I think it was a good way to reach a lot of people. And also, I've always liked Kickstarter. I don't know, when I first heard about it, I thought it was such an interesting concept. And I just wanted to, I needed the capital, but it was just a fun way to do it. For those of you that watch the video, you can clearly see I like to have a bit of fun and a bit of a laugh. So it was an interesting experience, and definitely something different, but I'm happy that I did the launch that way.
And now that you're a Kickstarter veteran, is there anything that surprised you about the process?
It's a good question. I think for anyone that's planning on launching, and I think everyone says it, but they still make the mistake, shipping. I'm all the way in Australia, and I miscalculated in shipping, but I didn't read sort of the fine lines of the shipping partner that I had originally. And it did add quite a bit. So, I mean, I ended up paying, I thought it was going to be 50%, but I ended up paying something like 70% of the shipping. Maybe 60, yeah, maybe between 60 and 70, depending on where it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I guess that one surprised me. Because, I mean, they're lightweight towels, but still sending it from Australia anywhere, it's just, yeah, it's super far. So
Yeah.
I guess my biggest thing would be, yeah, definitely calculate your shipping, but yeah, pay attention to the fine line as well, like all the little bits and pieces. That's one thing that definitely surprised me. And a couple of backers that just came from, yeah, just countries from, I had someone from Moldova order and Egypt,
What?
and yeah, it's just
That's
interesting because I just
great.
thought predominantly the Kickstarter community was definitely US,
Mm-hmm.
and Canada, and of course Germany and UK. But yeah, I had some surprising ones in there too.
You would. Um, you mentioned your previous shipping partner. So did you end up switching carriers?
Yeah, I ended up switching carriers, but it wasn't for price point. I think I ended up probably paying a little bit more because I just they just weren't Australia Post. Yeah, I just their just whole system was just way too complex, and I would have been individually putting everyone's information in rather than like a spreadsheet and it uploading, 200 international orders. It was just way too time consuming and frustrating. And that, yeah, that's why I switched carriers, not for price point, but
Mm-hmm.
efficiency. And I like good customer service. I'm always going to choose that over.
Of
Yeah,
course.
I will pay more, as long as it's someone efficient and trustworthy. So I ended up going with DHL,
Mm-hmm.
who, yeah, they're pretty well known. So I decided to go with them and thought it was a better choice.
Yeah, I agree. Typically, like I find a lot of people like this side or use DHL Express because like in the US and Canada, you can do 2-day shipping for a lot of people. So
Well,
DHL Express will actually help with that e-commerce side to help make sure that you're getting like items to customers quickly. So
yeah. Yeah, it was a good experience. Yeah, it was interesting to pack them all in my house. That was interesting. Yeah.
yeah. So what's next? Like, is Summerside something you're looking to go full time with, or is it a nice side hobby? Like, what is it to you now that it's really become a business?
Oh, it's definitely more full time. I definitely put
Great.
in a lot of hours. Yeah, 7 days a week, have been since February, really. But I was working my other job whilst I was in Bali. But yeah, I've been pitching stores. So I stock in 7 stores at the moment, with another 2 on the way. So yeah, I've just been getting in the car and pitching, and stores that I think will work, and sort of having a variety of a distribution model. So doing, some front facing. So I'm doing some markets where I'm there and I'm talking to people. I actually had a Kickstarter backer come running into my marquee the other day,
That's
which was an
awesome.
interesting. Yeah, no,
Oh my
because
god.
I'm sure if you watch the video, and I do little funny videos as well, and you
Yeah.
would have seen my face, but I know all the names. I remember all the names because I've seen them enough. But yeah, it was an interesting experience. Someone run in and say hello. So if anyone is in the area and you see Summerside, yeah, come say hello. Most likely, I'll be there. But that was nice to meet a Kickstarter backer face to face. And yeah, I'm online as well. So I did launch the website maybe 2 weeks ago. So
Mhm.
yeah, you got to hustle. So yeah, just working hard, and yeah, finding different ways to sort of get the product out there. That's the hard bit, but yeah, it's good. So it is pretty much full at the moment.
That is so exciting. Sorry, I had to clear my throat there. Um, why retail? What was your thinking there?
In terms of getting it into stores. I just think not everyone can be targeted via social, and I know, or Google AdWords. Like I know that is generally how it is now. But I mean, my mum's not on Instagram or Facebook really. Like they're not really going to be targeted. And also, a lot of people when they're on holidays, like pop into coastal stores and have a little browse and are in the mood to shop. And yeah, I just think it targets different people and also gets it out there. Yeah, and I think it's a good way. Yeah, it's definitely a good way to get the brand out there. And look, I mean, you lose margin doing that, of course, but if you're pushing units, and it's quite steady, that's also good. It's a numbers game. It's always a numbers game. So, look, it's always good to sell direct, but you have to, you're going to be putting in a lot more money that way as well. So you're going to be spending thousands and thousands
Yeah.
in ads, and people get ads all the time. So that's why I'm sort of doing Christmas markets as well. And people need to touch the product as well. I think when you say, oh, they're made from plastic, people automatically think it's going to feel not so
Like
nice and rough.
plastic. Yeah.
Yeah. But I wish I had a little camera at the markets the other day, because people would walk up and go, oh my God, they're so soft. Like that was the main thing. Like, I can't believe they're made from plastic. So that's the other thing. I think it is something you need to see in person as well. And being just online, people don't get that.
I feel like when you're ready to get in with the online ad side, or even not, maybe you just focus on building up an organic following through Instagram and stuff like that, right? But that's something we came across with Jamstack, that guitar product, where people, their biggest concern was, how do I know this is going to sound good? So we had to find ways through video to recreate the experience that someone would have just by touching it and listening to it in person. So when you go online, I see it's amazing that you're getting this feedback now, because you almost know exactly what videos you're going to have to create to really show. Like maybe it's a blooper reel where it's like, oh my gosh, it's so soft. And then we talked to over 100 customers. They all said the same thing, or whatever that looks like. And that's how you build it out to be really successful online, because you can recreate that same in-person experience.
Yeah, for sure. I've definitely thought about different ways to sort of get it out there. But all those people that have posted on Kickstarter in the comments section, saying they loved it as well is great. So I do reply and I read everything. And yeah, I think that's also it. Like everyone having such positive feedback. I've had people order more, and yeah, that's what you need. I think if you bring a good, obviously everything is marketing still, but having a good product as well is key. I mean, some people do the Kickstarter and send out a pretty average product, and then no one ever reorders it. So they might have had a successful Kickstarter, but it's not really a great product in the end. So I also think that's really important. Whereas like a lot of people, I think, will focus on backers, but I was really, I sort of knew my limit to what I would feel comfortable with. If it got to like thousands and thousands of units, it would have been a lot harder, and also to maintain that quality as well. So yeah, I think you also have to think about that.
Yeah, I love how you did it. I used to think that bigger is better with campaigns, because I started doing like the 6-figure plus campaigns, and then I would just see the problems that people would get into with trying to get that first run of inventory out, that I actually saw the value of having a campaign the size of yours, because even if your Kickstarter was your beta run, you got so much customer feedback, you got a chance to work out any manufacturing kinks, and you've built a really solid foundation that you can scale from. And it's like you're now building a house on a solid foundation, as opposed to the other way, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's it as well. And I also had the manufacturer already, so I already discussed what is the maximum that they could cope with to deliver as per my timeline. So, which was quite high, which I was like, oh, that's plenty. They said
Good.
5,000 units, but in my eyes, with manufacturing, they're always gonna tell you more units. So I sort of put it down to, maybe, yeah, a couple thousand, but I wouldn't say 5,000. So yeah, just to make sure that I was I was confident, in how much I could deliver as well.
Yeah. So my last two questions. The first one is, what do you think is the one thing that you did really well with this whole campaign, audience building, the marketing?
I would say, I don't know, I think I was very authentic to how I am. And I think you could see it in the video, you can see it in the comments, the way I reply to emails. Just everything I did was just very me. I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
have done a serious video. I said that at the
Nope.
start to the videographer. I just can't do it. So yeah, I think it was that, adding my flair, and I think that's what people want. So when I spoke to that Kickstarter backer, they said, "Oh, you were so real, and people could see who you were as a person, and they obviously they have to trust you, and it's hard because they don't know you.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone on Kickstarter says they're going to deliver, and they don't genuinely deliver as per their timeline because they've never worked with their manufacturer before, and or the kinks. So that's the other thing. So I think I did really well in sort of maintaining, the brand and how it should look and feel, and then me being completely honest and transparent throughout the whole thing. So yeah, I was always
Always Gabby.
updating backers. Yeah, you have to though, because I think it's so frustrating if you back a project and they've taken your money, but you don't hear from them for like a couple of months. Like, I just don't like that as well. So yeah, I think just being really, honest is key, and transparent.
Yeah. Oh, that's really, I'm glad you said that, because every time I will ask that question, I'll get, oh, you were really consistent with our email marketing efforts, or like
Yeah.
something, as opposed to the authenticity behind a brand, because ultimately people buy people. And if you can be yourself, then you become a figure that people trust and that represents a brand properly and stuff. So
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I did videos with a little Santa hat on. So
it
yeah,
was
you
like
just gotta,
amazing.
yeah, exactly. So I think, I mean, everyone has a different personality, but I think, yeah, just being really authentic with backers, because they're taking, a real stab in the dark. They've probably, if they jumped on your email list, they've been on the list for maybe 2 months, 3 months before you launch. And then they've got to sit through that whole period for the month that you launch. They're paid. Then they got to wait maybe 2 months till they get it. So, I mean, it's 6 months there. That's a big thing to ask. It's very different from going online and purchasing the product and receiving it within 3 days. So
Yeah.
I think that's the other thing.
Yeah. Understand the backer side of things. So,
Yeah, exactly.
and you've backed other campaigns, so you're familiar with the whole Kickstarter community. And a lot of first-time creators don't really get that because they don't they don't start to pledge other campaigns to see how other people communicate and how other campaigns, like what they're doing well and what they're not doing well. I think that's a big, big thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I did notice that from other ones I backed. I
Yeah.
also did look at similar campaigns to mine, uh, and the comments went. So I think a lot of things is people waiting and not getting updates, and
Hmm.
they've paid for the product. So I think you just have to be really mindful that these people are supporting you, but you can't just take their money and not have any sort of updates or things to show for it. So I think that's key, because some people did great campaigns, honestly, over 200,000, and then you look in the comments and no one is happy with their product, and then you just know that's probably going to be it for them, because yeah, if you have all these people that are unhappy and your reviews are bad, then it's pretty hard to build, as we said, like that foundation, because you
Hmm.
just don't have it.
Yeah. And man, that's a whole other side conversation. So
Yeah.
that we don't get into that tangent, my next question is, like, if you could do it, what is one piece of advice you'd give yourself from the beginning? Like, as in, what
Yep.
do you think you didn't do very well, besides the shipping that we discussed?
I think I could have, look, if I had a bit more money, I would have invested more into ads, but I just didn't have it. Like, I mean, I was living and working in
Hmm.
Bali, so everything was sort of put into actually getting the product. Yeah, I guess that would be the one thing. I didn't really build a huge list
Yep.
beforehand, but I did get, all my friends and family on board. And the other thing, and I don't know how it would be for other products, was that even though people might not have bought my product, they believed in the message of the product. So because sustainability, I am helping,
Hmm.
because it was that element, I found that a lot of people would share, and it just like there was so many shares throughout the campaign. And yeah, like people love the idea. And I mean, even if they didn't buy, it didn't matter, because yeah, they love the message behind it. So I think that's the other thing you need to, yeah, so with the message is key. But I would have liked to have maybe got a few more on the list beforehand. But
Hmm.
again, I just didn't have the capital for the ad spend. And I tried doing it myself, but when you don't really know what you're doing as well, you can quickly blow your money.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, what you did paid off because you nearly doubled your funding target.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it
It's
was great. I'm
like
so happy.
really, really good. I think my favorite part about your product, which I left it downstairs, or I would have brought it on the live, but I'm actually gonna do a post about it tomorrow online. My
I think I've
favorite thing
got one.
about it is please let's show it.
This is
But it
this is Willow's one. So I have a cat, and she's stolen mine, so she
oh,
has
of
my pink
course.
one. But
Oh yes, the Bali one, right?
yeah,
Or is that the Bali pattern? Yep.
yeah, this is the Bali
So
Botanical.
beautiful.
You
Bali
got your little
Botanical.
Yeah, you got your little pocket behind the label, which you wouldn't know unless.
You
Yeah,
have it. Yep.
yeah, exactly.
For some reason, I thought it like folded into that pouch, and I was like, no, it's a hidden pocket. It's not like a closey
Yeah,
thing.
that would be good. So I might
That
actually
would be really
eventually do
good.
that. We'll see.
You should. But so your package arrives in this black bag that says "I'm a dirt bag." And I'm like, what
Yeah.
is? And it's fully compostable packaging. I'm like, detail. So you
Yeah.
really put so much thought into not only the product, but like the full packaging that goes behind it. And it's lightweight as well, which I think a lot of people don't get, that adds to the cost of shipping. So it's like just a really nice thing to arrive on my
Yeah,
doorstep.
I thought it was funny too. There were a few other ones, but I liked the I'm a dirtbag, so
Me
felt like
too.
it really fit with with my style. But look, it would have defeated the purpose if I sent out 367 plastic mailing bags. Then I've just added to the problem. So,
Mhm.
and the fact that there is alternatives. Yeah, I did the research into that as well. And unfortunately, the stickers, I did have biodegradable stickers. I bought them, but I couldn't, they weren't high enough quality to print on. So yeah, the labels didn't work, unfortunately. But that's something I'll revisit. But yeah,
Mhm.
exactly right. I think like it's important to me, the environment. So everything I'm going to do is going to be thinking about that as well.
I love that. Um, well, that's the end of my questions. I did do a quick comment post while you were talking before to see if anyone watching has any questions for you. And Diana actually does. Can you see that comment on your side? I'm going
Yes,
to
I can.
be using certified 100% recycled polyester as a pocket lining for my pant style. I'm wondering if you've ever had backlash from customers about using materials that might contribute to the microplastics problem. If so, how did you address that?
Yeah, I did actually. More so from like the Australian customers. I guess I don't know. We're very eco over here. I actually had a few people come into the market and sort of talking to me about microplastics. So for those that don't know, microplastics, anything that's made from plastic, if you put it in the wash, like really, really small particles go into our water streams. And to give you an example, like it rained plastic in Colorado. I think it was this year. So yeah, which is crazy. How can that happen? But it's just everywhere, and the only way to prevent it is what I say: like buy a guppy bag. So it's like almost like if you have delicates, what you usually put bag.
Mm-hmm.
You can so it's sort of different because they don't have as many holes, so nothing will go through. But yeah, so I recommend those, and I have it on my website under the FAQs that you can buy one, and I have no affiliation with them. I just think they do a good job. So yeah, you can buy one on there, and that's sort of what I say. But also being odor resistant, you don't need to wash it that often. Like, to be completely honest, I don't really wash mine almost at all. It depends what I'm doing. I mean, most of the time I'm surfing, so it just gets a little bit rough after like all the salt builds up, but I'm just going to go again. So it just, I don't wash mine that often. So I guess it just depends. But I recommend the guppy bag, and that's really the only way in terms of preventing microplastics and washing it less, but it really just depends on if they're odor resistant pants or not. So I hope that helps, Diana.
I like that, because if you have anyone complain saying it's only 85%, and if you have any microplastics in your towel, you are offering a solution to that as well, if people really are adamant about not adding to the problem, right? So I really like that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you've got to think of all the details, but you're only going to know when you can't think of everything. You're only going to know from having conversations with customers, via email. Face to face has worked best for me, and people asking you questions, like, you don't even realize until people start asking you questions, like, what is the main thing that they not maybe see as a problem with your product, but just aspects of your product.
That's smart. I like that a lot. Well, great. I guess we're going to wrap this up now, but if anyone's like watching the replay, be sure to tag either of us if you have a question. We're happy to help. And I guess, Gabby, for anyone who wants to check out Summerside, where is a good spot to send them online, like your website and stuff?
Yeah, so my website. So if you just go to www.summerside, so SOMERSIDE.com.au, you can have a little browse there. It's got all the information. If you want a guppy bag, you can just go into the FAQs and you can find it, or just Google guppy. Yeah, there's all the information, the Kickstarter. If you want to see the video, if you haven't seen the video, you can see that on the website as well under Kickstarter. So everything you need to know is on the website. I do post funny videos on social sometimes as well on Summerside. So you can also follow us there at Summerside Oz.
Good stuff. And that's on Instagram. So
yeah, that's on Instagram.
And yeah, anyone listening on the podcast or watching this on YouTube, the links for everything just mentioned will be in the description. So apart from that, thank you so much for your time.
Amazing. Thanks, Khierstyn, for having me.
You're welcome. All right. Talk to you guys later. And thanks for watching live.
Thank you.